Hello dear students of class 10th, welcome to geography class. I hope all of you are doing well. Students, in this video, I shall be continuing with the 4th chapter of geography, that is agriculture. Students, in the previous video, I explained you about the institutional and technological reforms in the field of agriculture. I explained you that why technological and institutional reforms are important in the field of agriculture or in the primary sector. Now students, in this video, I shall explain you a very important movement, and the name of that movement is Bhudan Gramdan movement. See, I am going to explain you the meaning of this with the help of this title only, with the help of this heading. See, this is a Hindi term, Bhudan Gramdan. I'll break this word in order to explain you. Bhu means land and Dan means to donate. Then we have Gramdan, gram. Again we will break this word, divide this word. Gram means village and Dan means to donate. So this movement is related to the donation of land or donation of village. Now we will see that what happened in this movement. See, I'll tell you about Vinoba Bhave. Now who was Vinoba Bhave? He was declared as the spiritual heir of Mahatma Gandhi, and also he was one of the prominent satyagrahis. He took part in several satyagrahas. Okay, so he was declared as the spiritual heir of Mahatma Gandhi. Students, this is very important, that who was declared as the spiritual heir of Mahatma Gandhi? Then Vinoba Bhave was declared as the spiritual heir of Mahatma Gandhi. Now, what was the idea of Mahatma Gandhi? See, the idea of Mahatma Gandhi was Gram Swaraj. Gram means village or land and Swaraj means self-rule. That means he wanted the people of our nation to rule our country, not anybody else. He did not want the nation to be in the control of somebody else. Okay, so this was his idea, this was his dream. And if I talk about Vinoba Bhave, then after the death of Mahatma Gandhi, Vinoba Bhave took several Padyatras. Padyatras means walk on foot. It is called Padyatra. Pad means foot. Okay. To walk on foot is called as Padyatra. So after the death of Mahatma Gandhi and to spread this idea of Gram Swaraj, Vinoba Bhave took several Padyatras to spread the idea of Gandhiji in the whole country. And you know, once he was in Poshampalli, I am going to tell you a very interesting story about this Bhudan Gramdan movement, that why this is called so, why the movement is called as Bhudan Gramdan. So once what happened, Vinoba Bhave, he was in Poshampalli. And where is Poshampalli? Poshampalli is in Andhra Pradesh. So he was delivering his lectures, he was telling people about Gram Swaraj. So as he was telling people that we should have our own land, then suddenly some farmers came, some villagers came there, and they demanded some land for their economic well-being. Since they were not having land, so they demanded, as they listened to the speech, to the lecture of Vinoba Bhave, they told him, they demanded that we want land, we want some plots so that we can earn our livelihood, so that we can live peacefully and earn our livelihood well. So, but Vinoba Bhave, he was not having land at that time, so he did not promise them, but he assured them that he will talk to the government regarding the provision of land for them, only if they undertook cooperative farming. That means he told them that definitely I will talk to the government regarding land, but you have to tell me, you have to promise me that if land will be provided to you, if land will be granted to you, then you will do cooperative farming. That means you will do agriculture work together, you will do it collectively. So this he asked the people, the villagers who came, who demanded land from him. And while all this discussion was going on, a person stood up and he announced 80 acres of land to be distributed among 80 landless villagers. And do you know who was the person who stood up and announced? As he was very rich man, he had big land, he had big plot of land. So he announced that he will give his 80 acres of land to 80 landless farmers or villagers. And the name of that person was Shri Ramchandra Reddy. He announced this, to give 80 acres of land to 80 landless villagers. And this way he donated his land, and this movement is called as Bhudan movement. Bhu means land and Dan means to donate. So this way he donated his land, he donated his 80 acres of land to 80 landless villagers, and that is why this movement is called as Bhudan movement. Now the second part, Gram Dan. Now why is this called as Gram Dan, not only Bhudan? See, this idea of donating land, this was spreading, and you know, several zamindars, zamindars means the owner of several villages, they are called as zamindars. So several zamindars, they also offered their villages, the villages they owned, they offered their villages to be distributed among landless villagers or landless farmers, and this movement came to be known as Gram Dan movement. So the land given by Shri Ramchandra Reddy, that movement is called as Bhudan movement, and the land given by zamindars to landless villagers, that movement is called as Gram Dan movement. So collectively this came to be known as Bhudan Gram Dan movement. Okay, I hope that this concept is clear. This is a very interesting story. This is just like a story. You have to remember the story, that what happened in this movement. Then you will be able to answer all the questions related to this movement. Okay, and you know, some zamindars, or some, I would say, some landowners, they also donated their land. Why they donated their land? In order to do donation? No, not in order to do donation, rather out of fear. Yes, they donated their land out of fear that if they will not donate their land, then the government would seize their land, or they would seize their land under the abolition of zamindari system or the Sealing Act. So that is why out of fear they donated their land. They thought that okay, we will donate their land or else the government will seize our land. So they donated their land, and this complete movement is called as Bhudan Gram Dan movement. Let me tell you that this movement is also called as bloodless revolution. Now why is this movement called as bloodless revolution? Can you just think? Can you just use your productive brains that why it is called that? Why it is called as bloodless revolution? Bloodless means no blood. That means without shedding any blood, without any violence, this huge, I would say, yes, definitely this huge movement was successful. That is why it is called as bloodless movement. Without any violence, without shedding blood, without any fighting, the zamindars, the landowners, they donated their land to landless villagers and farmers. So I hope that this Bhudan Gram Dan movement is clear to everybody. Now students, let's move to the next topic. Our next topic is contribution of agriculture to the national economy. We will see that what is the contribution of agriculture to the national economy. See students, the share of agriculture to the GDP is declining. GDP means gross domestic product. So the share of agriculture or the primary sector, it is declining but the share of employment in the agriculture sector is very high. See, even though majority of population is engaged in the agriculture sector, still the contribution of this sector to gross domestic product is very low. Let me tell you that more than half of the population, and to be more precise, in 2001, 63% of the population was employed or was engaged in the agriculture sector, but the proportion of contribution to GDP was comparatively very less. And this is a matter of great concern, because see, people are employed. In fact, a majority of population is employed in this section. Still, it is not able to produce, it is not able to contribute that much. See, agriculture sector is the base, it is the primary sector, and if that will not develop, if that will decline, if it will not be able to contribute its share to GDP in a adequate manner, then definitely or automatically all the other sectors, the other two sectors, those sectors will also be affected. There will be negative impact, there will be negative influence, because agriculture sector is the base. This is the unit of the economy, and if this sector will not contribute, this sector will not grow in spite of majority of population engaged in it, then this is a matter of great concern. So why this is so? What is the reason why the Indian agriculture is not able to contribute an adequate amount to the to gross domestic product? Students, before I explain you the reasons, let me show you this table. This table is regarding the growth rate of GDP and major sectors. There are three sectors: the agriculture sector or the primary sector, the industrial sector, and the tertiary sector or the service sector. So let me come to the agriculture sector. Let me talk about 2013-14. In 2013-14, agriculture sector contributed 4.2% to the GDP of the country. Then in 2014-15, it reduced, this 4.2% was reduced to minus 0.2. Just such a drastic decline in the share of GDP. And then in 2015-16, the share of agriculture sector in the GDP was only 1.1%. But if I talk about the other two sectors, that means the industrial sector and tertiary sector, then in the industrial sector in 2013-14 it contributed 5%. In 2014-15 it contributed 5.9%, and in 2015-16 it contributed 7.3%. That means it is continuously increasing, it is not declining. Now let me talk about the service sector or the tertiary sector. Then in 2013-14 the share of service sector to GDP was 7.8%. In 2014-15 the share of service sector to GDP was 10.3%, and 2015-16 the share of service sector was 9.2%. So basically we can conclude from this table that the other two sectors, they are contributing more, even though the proportion of population that is engaged in those two sectors are comparatively less than the proportion of population engaged in the agriculture sector. So it is quite evident from this table that the growth rate in agriculture has been declining. It has been declining, and this is a major concern. Now I'll explain you that why the growth rate in agriculture sector is declining. What are the reasons why we are lagging behind? Why our agriculture sector is lagging behind? So let me tell you the reasons. The first reason is international competition. Now what is international competition? See, the Indian farmers, our farmers, they are not able to compete with the international farmers. If I talk about the farmers of USA, the farmers of China, the farmers of Japan or any European countries, the Indian farmers are not able to compete with them. Why they are not able to compete with them? Because of the high price of the crops by Indian farmers. Yes, the price of food grains in the foreign countries is comparatively less as compared to the price in India. Now, why this is so? This is because of the subsidy that is provided to the farmers by the respective government. If I talk about India, then the subsidy that is provided to Indian farmers is very less as compared to the subsidy that is provided to the farmers in developed countries. Let me give you an example. For example, if the expenditure incurred on producing 1 kg wheat by Indian farmers is rupees 100, and the subsidy provided to Indian farmers for producing that 1 kg rice is rupees 10. So how much expenditure the farmer had incurred? The total expenditure of the farmer is rupees 90. So definitely the farmer will not sell at rupees 90. It will sell at 100, 120, 130 like that. But if I talk about the foreign countries, for example, in order to produce 1 kg rice, the expenditure is 100 rupees. This is just a hypothetical example, an imaginary example. Okay, in order to explain you this concept. And the subsidy provided to the foreign farmers by the government is rupees 50, let's suppose. So that means what is the total expenditure incurred by farmer on producing 1 kg rice? It is only rupees 50, because 50 rupees is already being given by the government to them as subsidy. So that means 50 rupees is their expenditure. Now they can easily sell 1 kg rice at rupees 80, at rupees 70 or maximum 90. So if the quality of both the rice, that means the rice of India and the rice of any foreign country, if the quality is same, and if the price of rice of foreign country is less than the price of rice in our country, then which rice you will buy? The rice for rupees 120 or the rice for rupees 70 or 80? Definitely you will choose the lesser one. Why? Because the price is rice, so customer will definitely be attracted towards the price that is quite lower. So that is why the Indian farmers are not able to compete with the foreign farmers. They are lagging behind because the government is not able to support. See, the government is definitely providing support, whatever support can be provided, but the population is huge in India. But if I talk about the population of the other countries, Japan, China, US, the population is very less. In India, 2/3 of the population is engaged in the field of agriculture. But if I talk about the foreign countries, then very few farmers are there. And as a result of which the government is able to provide subsidy. The government is very helpful, the government is very cooperative because population is less, and also they are developed, their economy is very big, it's very large. So as a result of which the Indian farmers are not able to compete. So because of this international pressure, international competition, our farmers are lagging behind. So this is one reason that why we are not able to grow, why we are not able to develop and contribute to the contribute our share in the GDP. Okay, so I hope that this point is clear to everybody. Now the second point is reduction in duties has increased the competition. See, the reduction in import duties, they have led to increase in competition. See, as foreign goods, they are cheap, so people will prefer, or people are preferring to buy the foreign goods. And in our country, since the farmers are not getting proper subsidy because of explosive population, as a result of which we are lagging behind. So these are the reasons why we are not able to compete with the international market. Why we are not able to why our agriculture sector is not able to contribute in the gross domestic product of our economy. So I hope that till here all the points are clear to everybody. Now students, in the next video I'll explain you that what steps have been taken by the government in order to improve this situation. Okay students, till then, thank you so much. Please revise all the points well and stay healthy and safe. Thank you. See you in the next video.